Ladies and gentlemen, you probably clicked on this video because you recognize the person in the thumbnail. And hopefully you enjoy the game of chess. It's always fun when this little hobby of ours, this little board game, is shown on a global stage. And over the last half a decade, we got to see that a lot. A lot of the people that we look up to, who we watch compete in certain sports, be in certain movies, make certain music, they play chess. Maybe they don't talk about it publicly that much, but a lot of people, millions of people, dare I say billions, are playing the game of chess. And Victor Wembanyama is one of those people. NBA superstar. On the cover of the next NBA 2K game. Luckily, the runner-up of the last NBA Finals. I am a New York Knicks fan, so, I was pretty happy. But he is a star. He is an icon, and he plays chess very publicly. One of my biggest regrets is not going to play him. When he posted about it on Twitter like a couple of years ago, he was in New York City. And recently, he was in Paris. It's currently August of 2026, and they're doing some sort of NBA events in Paris, and also the esports World Cup will be in Paris. And Victor played against Mohammad Reza Firouzja, the older brother of Ali Reza Firouzja, and an extremely strong player. So in this video, I'm going to show you the game that was posted on Instagram. Try to guess the elo of Victor, because I actually don't know. And we'll see. We'll see just how good Victor is. Maybe you can compare yourself to him, because I haven't actually found his online account. And I also just said I will be at the Esports World Cup. A friendly reminder to all of you what that's going to look like. Some absolute monsters are playing for $1.5 million. You can get a ticket if you want. I think there are still some remaining, although not for the finals. And the format is extremely exciting. We've got, obviously, Magnus, Hikaru, some of the best speed players in the world. And the qualification path is going to be quite electric. You've got the play-in stage. And also the last chance qualifier is actually right now, August 4th to 6th. That's going to happen. And then the 5 places from the last chance qualifier get into the play-in. And only 2 people out of that thing on the left side of your screen are going to make it into the group stage. And then the group stage is really intense. And only 8 players make it out of the group stage, which is going to be a double knockout system. And then you're going to have the playoffs on August 14th and 15th. So I will be there. I'm going to be making content. I'll be doing commentary. Yeah, can't wait. Super excited to be at Esports World Cup. And maybe I'll see Victor. I don't know. I don't know if he's just going to... let's put it this way. If Victor's on the street, I'm going to be able to recognize him. All right, he's pretty recognizable. 7'5". Anyway, Victor has the white pieces against Mohammad Reza Firouzja. He opens the game with d4, knight f6, and knight c3. Okay, not c4. Generally a queen's pawn player, or maybe a London system. He goes knight c3. Whenever I see d4 and knight c3... judging based on the next few moves, you're going to see what type of level the opponent is. Firouzja plays d5. Now white can do several things, but that move was a very good one because it stops white from taking the center. Bishop f4 is the Jobava London, but Victor plays bishop g5, which is certainly a move. In fact, this is called the Veresov, V-E-R-E-S-O-V, the Veresov variation. Black has several choices here. In general, though, you want to go with your D and C pawns together. Do keep in mind that whether you play with black or with white, your D and C pawns, they work together, they attack the center. And here he plays e6, fine, but his next move is going to be c5. I like Victor's next move. The computer's not a huge fan of it. I really like this move, and now Victor's trying to play e4. When Victor plays against people of his level and maybe slightly stronger, this stuff is going to really work because you're going to get e4 and e5, you're going to take the entire center. But black is a very experienced player, and he knows that as white is trying to build this up, Mohammad Reza is going to play c5, which is going to strike the middle. First, he goes here just to target the bishop, but then he goes c5, and black is already doing very, very well. The other idea of playing the move c5 is not just targeting the center before white actually gets to. It's the fact that the queen can now come out. It used to be blocked by the pawn on c7. And with white as well, when you use your D and C pawns correctly, your queen is going to be able to come out. So this is just mean, I have to say, against poor Victor here. But Victor, e3, very solid, nice move. It's good to have central pawn control. So if you're watching this as a beginner or an intermediate, this would be a much worse move. Black would go here. Black would have a dominant control of this diagonal. And then if white continued to go forward, you have just pure dark squared problems here. It's going to be very difficult. You're going to probably have to safeguard the king this way because you can't leave your king in the middle of the board against the chess master. It's just not going to go well. Now, e3 is a great move because next you will develop your bishop and your knight, etc. But Mohammad Reza was not... he was not going to allow Victor easy development. I'm not going to lie to you. If I played Victor, I think I would have, just followed good principles. I would have developed my knight, developed my bishop. I would have just castled. But not all chess players are the same. A lot of chess players, they sit down and they play to win. And I also play to win, but I also play to, like a sparring match in the gym. You're not supposed to immediately knock somebody out. But Mohammad Reza chops the pawn in the middle and flies out with his queen with an immediate direct attack on the weakened b2 pawn as a result of Victor moving his bishop. And black does have an advantage here. The advantage is quite substantial. White now probably has to give up one of the pawns. If white plays very passively here and simply plays defense, black will very quickly develop all the pieces, and white's development is sort of stunted. He can't move the knight. He never got that pawn into the middle. So that's why here the computer actually wants this move. This pawn cannot be taken because you would set off a discovered attack with a check, but this pawn can be taken, and if it is taken, white can actually go knight b5 and immediately look for some complications over there, and then something like a3 and almost trap the queen. Fun fact. The b2 pawn or the b7 pawn in chess are known as the poisoned pawns. There are a lot of times where you gallop in with a queen like this, but somehow the mechanics of the position get your queen trapped. Happens quite frequently. Anyway, queen b6 was played. I really like Victor's move. Victor's doing his best, I have to tell you. Knight a4. Knight a4 is a really nice move. You attack the queen and you defend your pawn. Now, the only problem with this move is that the piece is loose. It's not defended by anything, literally. So instead of going back or retreating, Mohammad Reza plays the best move, which is queen a5 check. This move is a direct attack on the king and the knight. Honestly, the best move here would have probably been, practically speaking, to back up, just kind of repeat the position, then black would have continued to attack over here. Actually, what's funny is this move is possible, which is sort of disgusting, and if you take it, there is this. So yeah, really nasty tactics here. But I like Victor. Victor spent a little time here, played c3. He noticed that he can block the attack and open up the queen to defend the knight. Just to spot c3 makes me think Victor is at least 1,000. I mean, I know black is better, but black is also rated 2,700 in Blitz. He might even be higher, but when I played him, I think he was like 2,700. So he's really good. But Victor spots c3. Now black goes knight d7, which is not the best move. Probably he should play bishop d7 and immediately attack the knight, which is in a very precarious position. Defending the knight is not going to be easy. You're probably going to have to lose the pawn, but he plays knight d7, which is a very solid move. Victor plays queen b3, which is a mistake. At this point, white needs to very quickly get pieces out and castle. Black does have a threat, which maybe actually Victor stopped. I don't know if Victor was trying to attack or defend here. Black has the idea to play pawn to b5, which traps the knight, which is why white here has to play b4. You have to kick the queen out. Not that you're going to win the queen, but when the queen leaves, now b5 is not possible, and white can continue with like bishop here, knight here, and castle. You have to castle. And then if black continues with this very slow plan, you jump in with the knight, it's anchored by 2 pawns, and actually white is doing fantastic. So that's great. Queen b3 doesn't quite work, because you kind of are still congested and your king can't castle. Mohammad Reza plays a6. He's preparing b5. This is a building block type of pawn move. You prepare a pawn move with another pawn move, so that pawn defends the other pawn. Victor can't do anything. He's absolutely frozen here, and it's just tough, man. When a chess master wants to beat you and wants to beat you within 10 moves and kind of punish your opening inaccuracies, he will. Or she will. In this case, he will, right? And yeah, I mean, that's the brutal thing about chess, is that it's very uncompromising. Now, long castle is what Victor, I guess, was going for. He decided right here that it was going to take him too long to castle this way. The problem with this is you are castling directly into the line of attack. And unfortunately, after b5, your knight is trapped. You have to go to c5, where you will lose a pawn. Now, at the 1,000 level, losing a pawn here is completely irrelevant. A pawn is nothing. So you play knight c5, and now with black, do you take with the bishop or with the knight? It's a very good question. Now, purely on principle, you compare the two, and I would always say if you don't need to give away a bishop for a knight, if there is no good reason to do that, don't do that. So probably black should go take, and bishop c5. Bishop is very strong. Bishop is a better long-range weapon. Bishop is better long-term piece. However, you might look at this position and go, well, after bishop takes, pawn takes, my knight attacks the queen, and the queen's guarding the pawn. So this move looks like it should just be a knockout punch. It looks like one of those moves where the knight is supposed to be taking, but actually I can take first with the bishop. Even though I'm not supposed to give away the bishop for the knight, generally speaking, still this is better for me. And that's what black did. But Victor, my man, Victor countered this very nicely. I'm sure Mohammad Reza saw this, a very good player. But if white goes back, black will take the pawn and simply win. Black will go knight here, and it's almost checkmate. You have to lose your queen. But Victor counters this move with queen b4. This is a very good move. A very good move. If you take on a2, I take the knight, I stomp you from castling, and I mean, this is just terrible. Black is completely lost here. This is very bad. Actually, black does not react the best way. What black should do here is trade the queen and simply back up and say, well, I have an extra pawn. I'm now going to go here and bring my rook to the middle and win a long game. That's what actually black should do. I think Mohammad Reza didn't want to do that because he's like, I'm the master here. If I bring my queen back, then I'm going to deliver a checkmate in the future with my queen. It's very likely, which is why he retreated with queen b6. But queen b6 is actually a bad move. It's tough to understand why it's a bad move, but it's a bad move. It's a bad move because if white just centralizes the queen here, gets out of the way of this attack and plays like b4 or even bishop f2 and threatens this knight, black's in bad shape. Black has to probably go back, then you can trade, and I bring my bishop back, and I am doing what's called compensating. I have compensation for a pawn in the form of a very powerful long-range piece. It's the only dark squared bishop on the board. It's like the Elder Wand. His bishop's going to be a real problem for black to deal with, and black's pawn structure does not complement his bishop. You are learning a lot of stuff here. Maybe you're a long-term viewer of my channel, you're still getting good nuggets of information, but if you only clicked on this video because the YouTube algorithm recommended it because you're an NBA fan, you're getting a lot of nuggets of information here. When you have a bishop, you want your pawn structure to complement the bishop. The pawn structure should be balanced relative to the bishop. You don't want a light squared bishop and 5 out of 7 light squared pawns. That bishop has no scope, and your dark squares are very weak. If you have 2 bishops on the board, you still want something close to 4-4 or 5-3. You don't really want 5-2, and you obviously don't want 7-0 or 8-0. So, that is all to say, Victor is in a good shape here. Now, he pins the knight to the queen and forces his opponent to back up and play defense. Unfortunately now, it's not just good to get a good position against a strong player, you then have to sustain the good position. And Victor was running low on time here. I like his move. He's just trying to develop a knight. I think it probably would have been better to move to the middle, even though you temporarily block your bishop. After you move again, maybe your knight will be a bit better, but I don't hate the move knight h3. And now rook b8. And again, if Victor just gets out of the way here, because black is preparing a pawn attack, right? The king is here. You're looking for a pawn storm opportunity against the king. If you move your queen somewhere, like over here, you're doing great. Black is going to start his attack. You can already create threats. You know, black probably has to castle. You have knight f4, b4, maybe knight h5 looking for a checkmate. Like, you're actually doing something, right? You are not just sitting around and then perishing. The problem is here, well, Victor also had like 30 seconds on the clock, so obviously you're going to make a mistake. But you should not push where you have castled. In general, you need to leave the pawns in front of the king alone, in general. Because the more you push them, the closer they get to the opponent. The closer they get to the opponent, the faster they can be attacked. And if they're attacked, that means they're going to fall, and the king is going to be left defenseless, which is why the move b3 is not a good move, because now black doesn't even castle. You'll notice that he's violating some principles. He's not castling. Instead, he's going for an attack. Now, you need to bring the queen all the way over there. Queen hanging back in front of the king kind of makes sense, but the queen should be an offensive piece. Hanging back like this, these moves are going to come down with crushing authority. He plays b4. This is a great move. Now here, you need to go take, and queen b2. That's what you need to do. Target this pawn. Black is going to castle. But now we see the issues, right? We see that if we try to protect our king, black is about to launch an avalanche on that side of the board, and we haven't conjured up anything over here. But Victor makes a mistake. He gets low on time. He actually makes a mistake that's a little bit of a miracle not to be a bigger mistake. He goes here. And that move blunders the queen, but again, he had like 15 seconds on the clock. You lose the queen. You actually win a queen back. But of course, you lose this. It's important you take with this knight, otherwise it would have been taken. And now black, who is already a very good player, now has a massive advantage of a knight and a pawn. And he will win this position, but it's also quite instructive how he does it. Jumps in with the knight. Blocks the check. Victor still finding a nice move here, getting in the way of everything. Okay, we trade. And now he takes with the king. And he takes with the king, and the king is able to hang out in the middle of the board because in an endgame, once the most powerful pieces have been traded, like queen, bishop, knight, king is safe. King's safe. There's no way to get to the king. The rooks are going to connect very quickly, and you are just going to infiltrate on this side of the board. Victor here with around 10 seconds on the clock. This is not a very necessary move, knight a4. I mean, black clearly does not need to sacrifice a knight, but knight a4 is really vicious because if you take it, I take with this knight, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to jump in here, I'm going to win this pawn, I'm going to get my rook over here, and we can tell who has a weaker king. It's obviously white, but Victor, again, was just trying not to lose on time. He went king b1, and now that knight is actually able to hurdle over the pawn entirely. Knight to c3 check, anywhere the king moves, rook a2 is next, and knight takes pawn is next. And the game ends with knight takes b3 checkmate. And it's actually funny the way that this concluded because Mohammad Reza did this with no rook. He didn't even have to use that rook at all. His king only moved once to take back the bishop, and the way that he infiltrates here, yeah, this is how a master does it. You know, you gotta utilize all of your material. You have to attack viciously, and he played with no mercy. I think he spent like 30 seconds on this game. So, yeah, it was very impressive victory by him. But I have to say, Victor played a very good opening, and he was clutch. If I had only this game to guess Victor's, like let's say Victor plays 10-minute rapid games on chess.com, I would say, you know, comfortably like 1,000 minimum, you know, anywhere between 900 and 1,100. Now, the truth is he could be lower rated than that. He could also be higher rated than that. But sometimes when you have a high rating, you're made to look worse than you are just purely on, you know, your opponent, right? Like, and black played really well. He completely countered everything. He played very smart, and ultimately, white made a mistake in time trouble. But always cool to see Victor play. Maybe we will link up in Paris, where I will be later this month for the Esports World Cup, as I already said. And maybe not, but maybe not. I will continue to cover him both. Well, not really in the NBA. I will continue to watch his NBA career. I will continue to cover chess whenever he plays. And I'm happy the New York Knicks won a championship. And as Tim Duncan told LeBron James in 2007 or 2005, 2007, this is going to be your league in a few years, but thanks for letting us have this one. That's the way it felt, right? That's all I have for you today. Get out of here.